We left St. Lucia headed for St. Croix. We sailed past a few islands and anchored overnight 3 times, but because of COVID, we didn't go ashore in any of them.
7:30, we're leaving St. Lucia. The next place our feet will touch the ground is St. Croix. We left St. Lucia, and there's some big swells in the channel between St. Lucia and Martinique. That looks pretty cool. This is better than a roller coaster. We use Windy to get an idea of what the wind's going to be like, and so far it's always been wrong. It was predicting about 16 knots of wind, and you can see that we've got 25 knots of true wind. We're on a beam reach basically, so our apparent wind and true wind, well, we're not quite a beam reach, I guess more broad. Anyway, true wind, apparent wind, they've been hitting up to about 28 knots, so we have plenty of wind today. We're anchored off St. Pierre in Martinique. We made it in far less time than I thought we would. We had several squalls came through. We had winds as high as 33 knots, and we sailed from St. Lucia to this beautiful place in 6 hours and 15 minutes. It's 6:15 in the morning. We're getting ready to get started for Dominica. It's gonna be a little bit longer sail today. It's a gray and dismal morning. It's been raining all night. I hope we don't have horrible weather. And we're having another rockin' ride on our way to Dominica. We've probably got, oh geez, I don't know, 2 to 3 meter seas, maybe. That's what I'm guessing, maybe 8 to 10 feet. And we have about 22 knots of wind. It's just enough wind that we're still sailing with 2 reefs. We made it to Dominica. We're in Portsmouth. Took us 10 hours from anchor up to anchor down. The highest wind we saw was 40 knots. Dominica, 6:20 in the morning. The guidebook says Dominica is the land of rainbows. We're guessing because it's always raining here. My French isn't very good. Actually, my French is horrible. But these are the Îles des Saints, or in English, the Saints. A small group of islands off of Guadeloupe, which look to have some really nice anchorages. And had COVID not occurred and we could have done proper island hopping, looks like it would have been a great place to visit. Here's our closest approach to the Saints. I would tell you the name of this island except for 2 things. One is I don't know it, and second, it's in French, and so I would be saying it wrong anyway. And it's just off Guadeloupe, which is over there. And if you turn and look the other way, quick pan, don't get nauseous, you can still see Dominica in the distance. We anchored in the Pigeon Island anchorage off Guadeloupe. That's Pigeon Island over there on the left. And I'm gonna
Move around the other side and show you what that view is. Here's our view of the beach in Guadalupe. It's 6:10 in Guadalupe. We're going to get ready to go here in a few minutes. It's raining. It's not particularly nice, but we have to leave because we're only allowed to stay overnight. Bummer. And as the sun is rising, we say goodbye to Guadalupe. There's no wind. It's blowing about 3 knots, so we have to motor. We're leaving Guadalupe, and that's what the sea looks like. Flat, flat, flat. If it was flat with wind, that'd be good, but it's flat with no wind. There wasn't wind in the lee of Guadalupe, but there were strong winds between Guadalupe and Montserrat. We almost made it to 9 knots and 27 knots of wind. Montserrat. That volcano there in the clouds is Soufrière. Seems like there are lots of volcano soufrés here in the Caribbean. You can see the ash flow down the side of the mountain still from one of the latest eruptions. The last time it erupted was 2010. There's the abandoned town of Plymouth. When we reached the westernmost point of Montserrat, I radioed the Montserrat Port Authority and asked for and got permission to anchor for the night. So we hardened up on the wind and did 6 tacks to windward to take us to Little Bay. We had just set the anchor in Little Bay when a woman from the harbor called us on the radio and said Montserrat was closed and we'd have to leave. I explained that I had been granted permission to stay from the Port Authority. She asked me to hold for a minute, during which I assumed she talked to the Port Authority. I didn't have to wait long. She came back on the radio and said we had to leave. So we hoisted the anchor and left. We had planned to go to St. Kitts the next day and then do an overnight sail from there to St. Croix. Neither Jai nor I wanted to try and anchor at St. Kitts at night, and we sure didn't want to get there and get turned away, so we decided to head straight for St. Croix. Shortly after sunset, we made our closest approach to Nevis. Yeah, that pretty much looks like nothing, but over there, let's see if there's any dots of light you can see. That's Nevis. And Nevis is famous for, it's the birthplace of Alexander Hamilton. We settled on 4-hour watches for the night. Jai took the 10 to 2 and I took the 2 to 6. Around 2 a.m. we crossed the Saba Bank. This is an area of shallower water ranging from 120 to about 40 feet. I was concerned that the swell would hit this and build higher and steeper waves. We tried to sail south of it just in case, but the wind direction and sail configuration wouldn't let us sail deep enough to the wind to get there. So we sailed across the bank. I figured worst case, if it did get rough as we started hitting the bank, I could jibe and get out of it quickly enough. In the end, I didn't feel any change in sea state, but I sure would have preferred crossing this in the daylight just in case. Well, we made it to St. Croix. That's Christiansted over there. And we're anchored behind Long Reef. You can see the waves crashing on the reef over there. It took us a little less than 4.5 days to sail from St. Lucia, and after 6 months, we're finally back in the USA. Our next episode will be about St. Croix, where it's not always sunshine and rainbows.